Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Organic Matters, the podcast brought to you by the Irish Organic Association. And there are birds singing in the background. It's a little bit downcast this morning, but I have to say, when I turned into the farm that we're in today, I had this immediate feeling of it was just right where it was meant to be. You know, some places you turn into and you just get a lovely warm feeling, and this is one of them. And it is the farm of Pádraig and Fahy and also Una Fahy, and they're farming here together, and it's horticulture primarily. But just, Una, will you give us a bit of the lay of the land, tell us where we are and how much you're farming here?
Thank you. I'm just a bit tearful there because that was such a lovely thing you said as you arrived. For me, it was always about nature and it was always about the environment. I grew up in Dublin, Clondalkin in Dublin, but spent summers on farms as a small child and always loved nature. But I was in my early 20s when I realised I wanted to actually get into organic farming and started studying horticulture, organic horticulture in Drumcallagher, and met Pádraig there, and we ended up here back on Pádraig's family farm.
Your eyes met over an organic bed of lettuce or something, was it?
Well, for our first conversation, he was standing on top of a compost heap with a pitchfork in his hand, and he was wearing this check shirt, which he looked like a real farmer. Yeah. I remember it exactly. But the first time I actually set eyes on him was in the Glen of the Downs. I was living up there as part of the protest against cutting down the trees in the nature reserve there, and he was up on a visit. He was there for a few days, but I did set eyes on him and I heard his voice, I remember. And then, but I wasn't introduced to him. I remember thinking, oh well, there's other fish in the sea. But I did meet him 6 months later, and then we fell in love.
Oh, that's lovely. Because I think as well that it's something that we were talking about earlier, that some things kind of cycling back around, or some things that are meant to be. And for you as well, Pádraig, there's been a long history of growing vegetables in the family. I think your grandfather was a head gardener here locally in Galway, and you seem to have it in your blood. Like, what are we looking at here in front of us? Because we are in quite a large polytunnel at the minute.
Great to meet you, Hannah, and thanks for visiting us. And I'm really enjoying the podcast, so I hope we'll bring our story to
I didn't even have
issue.
to bribe you to say that. That's great.
No, we're looking at cucumber crop, and we've about 300 plants here, and they've come on a lot this week with the warm weather, getting a good bit of irrigation each day, and I hope to start harvesting probably the first week of July. Just everything's a little slower this year. We haven't had as much heat these are sun-loving Mediterranean crops, so we haven't had that much Mediterranean weather here in Galway yet this summer.
And how large an area are you both farming organically? And it is all vegetables, isn't it?
Yeah, so we've managing 50-acre farm, and of that, when you take into account rotations, we're growing about 30 to 35 acres of vegetables. We've a habitat area, and then we've land in conversion, and then we'd have land in crop covers and green manures. So 50 acres at present.
And when I turned in, a big sign saying farm shop, and so what's that been like? I mean, how did the farm shop element come about? Were you growing vegetables first and then decided to branch out? You know, how did that work?
The farm shop is just on a Saturday. It's from 10 to 2, and we set it up to accommodate local people who want to buy our veg. And we don't have it Monday to Friday because we have a pack house, and we're very busy with shop orders, and it's a clean room. We're Board B Quality Assurance certified, so we can't really facilitate people coming in Monday to Friday. So we set up the shop for local customers. But we've been around. We've been farming. We've been 20 years in business this year, so we've done an awful lot of different things over the years. And we did farmers markets, and we did farm shops on other days of the week as well, you know, in the past. But the Saturday's going very well for us at the moment, the Saturday shop.
We had probably in the early 2000s we had the farm shop here, and we set up a box scheme, and then that led on to wholesale into shops. So it's great to keep the connection with the consumer, see what they want. like a lot of medium-sized towns around Ireland, the last veg shop in the town closed there 2 weeks ago. I think there was just issue couldn't get staff. So if you want to buy fresh vegetables at present, say in our local town, we're the only place here apart from going to the supermarkets. So so I've even looked at the idea, could we have a shop in town? But we'll look at it a bit further. But it's to connect with the community and give people that choice. And there's a lot of people who come in actually buying off us who used to buy off us with the box scheme when their families were growing up. And and it's a chance for people who are working during the weekdays to come in on a Saturday morning.
So we still have a farm shop. We still have a box scheme. Yeah, so we've been doing a box scheme for 20 years.
For 20 years?
And
sounds like you're ahead of your time in that respect.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when we started it, there were a lot of people looking at us like as if we'd 10 heads,
No one will want that many vegetables, no.
Well, it was very funny because both my father and Pádraig's father thought we were mad. But my mother and Pádraig's mother both kind of very much supported and loved the idea. But I do remember my dad saying, why don't you just get a job in a bank? And I couldn't get a job in a bank actually because I'm not very mathematical. But what his point was, why don't you just focus on making some money? And we had small children at the time. And now, 20 years later, now I get why he said that, because he had a point, because it would have been a lot easier to just focus on making money to raise a family, and keep out of that simple life. But no regrets or anything. But yeah, it wasn't an easy road at the same time. And both the fathers, supported us as well. Pádraig's parents especially gave us great financial support actually. Helping us with our, we got lots of loans in the beginning from credit union and bank, and they'd guarantee them and stuff, and then they gave us great support. And then my mother actually, she half reared our children in the beginning when I'd be working a lot and helping with students and all that kind of thing.
Because I guess you've been doing it so long, so you've seen a real kind of, maybe hopefully a sea change as well in how things are viewed in Ireland, because we're talking about now, an increase hopefully in the number of organic farmers. Oh, if people hear a squirting noise, that's the
just turned
sprinklers.
On the irrigation thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're fine. Leave it on.
Is the noise okay? Because that rotavator...
Yeah, leave it on.
The rotavator was on there. I was going to check. Was that too loud?
No, that's perfect.
And students had the rotavator on there.
So you've seen kind of a real change. So, that's the irrigation. Is that the irrigation system?
Just the pipes filling up.
It won't go
pressure.
on.
It's good. This is a working farm podcast. This is how it should be. But I guess in terms of, do people come to you now for advice? Do you see more of a demand from consumers that specifically want organic local food, and do you see more people interested in growing vegetables as well? How do you find that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Like
a lot more people are interested.
At the moment,
now.
say we get actually up for about 6 years we took apprentices on the farm, so we take through the Organic Growers of Ireland apprenticeship. We trained up about 7 people over the last few years. We get a lot of students in from France in the summer for college placements, and then we have seasonal workers from East Europe and some Irish students who work here in the summer. So definitely with the apprentices, they come in, they want to get the experience and the training, and the French colleges are, you have to go out and spend 3 months. You have to get, working on organic farms. So I can really see the knowledge they're gaining coming in here and what they're doing in France to drive organic. So I think our agricultural colleges here could learn a thing or two. We also get some students from the Botanic Gardens, and we've had some from Kildalton in the past. But on advice, we'd probably get an email or a phone call every week or two. I seen a text there from Ballymaloo recently looking for advice on a flame weeder. We had someone else who was setting up a farm shop. So people say want to reach out, and we tell them to come in, or if we have a farm, all come to it, and they can hear our story. So the best way of learning is learning from your peers and farmers, listening to farmers.
I'm conscious you grow a lot of things, and I've only seen the cucumbers so far. So show off something to me. We'll better start walking.
We're going to the propagation next.
Okay.
That's an exciting story.
So we're moving on from the propagation shed now into it kind of feels like a cathedral of tomatoes, which seems like a weird thing to say, but they're all growing up on these tall green stems, and then coming down from the ceiling you have these orange baling twine ties tying them up.
Yeah.
A very, very technical situation, but they do look great and very vibrant. So you were talking about fertiliser there, so what do you use for fertiliser, because you don't have any animals on the farm?
So we import organic poultry manure and we compost it. We also use dried pelleted manure. In the tunnel here we've used the animal waste. We put it out in February, March, rotivate it in, and then we plant it up in the month of April. So in here we've about 600 cherry tomato plants, the variety Sakura, and we start cropping now about the 10th of July, and they'll keep us going till early October.
And something as well, because there's a lot of field work, I imagine, going on as well, and weeds, the issue of weeds have come up on large scale tillage farms, organic, yes, and also I'm guessing in horticulture as well. How do you manage weeds?
Sometimes good, sometimes not so good. In terms of the equipment, flame weeder, so we prepare the ground, let's say week 1. Weeds will then germinate week 2 and 3. At about the end of that, we'll come in and flame weed them. We've got a new flame weeder now this year.
Is that literally a flame for no one who knows
it
what
is.
it is?
Yeah, and it's using gas, and it's this flame weed I have now is a lot more environmentally friendly, if you can say that. I know you're using an unrenewable resource, but we'd also use brush weeders, flatbed weeders, and we've also, you'll see over here on the right, we walk across, we've got this biological mulch, and it's made down near where you're from in Adair with Samco. So it's a compostable mulch, and we put that out on the ground. 4 key things: it heats up the soil, it gives you a cleaner crop when you go to harvest it, it cuts down in the weeds, and it ups the yields. So it's working really well, and Samco and the Shine family there are developing this, and they're exporting them all around the world now. And I was, so that's helping us with weed control. And the other thing to help you with weed control is to maybe bring newer land into rotation, or expand out your rotation. We're working on a 4-year cycle here, so 3 years of crops with 1 year of 1 year of green manures and resting. But as the farm's getting bigger, there's always more pressure on the rotation, and getting land, like a lot of farmers this year, can be hard. So
the horticulture farmer has the same issue as the dairy farmer in that sense.
Yeah. But in the last 2 years, there's more farmers have come into organics and even around Ballinasloe. So what I've done for the last 10 years is try and partner with, say, grassland farmers, go in and grow veg on their land for 2-3 years, then give it back to them. So that's allowed us to increase our production over the last 10 years. But as I said, I'm trying to do a little less at the moment and do it better, and if that means having to cut back if you can't access land, we'll accept that. You can hear in the background here, we're right beside the M6 motorway. We're just a mile from the town, so there is no land close to the farm here. We rent 8 kilometres away, 28 acres, so that's where most of the production is. Okay.
So we're walking up to another bit, and it looks like an old hay barn or something, was it?
Yeah, it's the lane 2 and our old hay shed. Now the hay shed is our veg washing shed, and where we have our fridges for storing the veg. And the lane 2 now is our veg pack house.
And are these veg boxes we were talking about earlier, are these ones being packed at the minute that I can see happening?
Some veg boxes being packed, but on Friday most are shops now for our Dublin and Clare deliveries tomorrow. So you can see, say, some orders there going to the Catchfish shop in Dublin, Lots & Co. I can see Terranure, Barnhill stores in Dalkey, I'm just looking at a few, and Super Value Ennis Diamond in Clare. So what the girls are doing there, they're packing on the left, and then they divide up. Hi, hello. They divide up everything, and they are putting it out into the orders for the shops. This week we're back as well. We supply Tesco nationwide with all their organic kale.
And there's 5 people working in there. I mean, it is busy.
Yeah. No, they're great. get through around 45, 50 units per person an hour, and yeah.
And how many tons of veg do you know go out a week?
So it's probably, we do, let me see, probably an average about 6 tons, 6 to 7 tons a week. At this time of year, actually June is probably low point for volumes and sales, and then it'll grow now come about the 10th of July. So an average 5 to 6 tons a week of veg we sell. And
That's some going.
yeah, it is.
Did you ever see yourself getting to that scale?
I didn't, but we never refused the business when it came our way, and then in order to grow our own incomes and grow the roles in the business, we needed to grow the business,
So
And
when you would have grown up, there would have been cattle in this shed.
yeah, my dad was into continentals, and I would have carried the hay in from there. There was the feeding troughs there, and we put it in, and then this was a straw bedded shed. When you were brought out here and put out in the land every spring, and then when I came home in the late 90s, 2000, we got used to it for a shed, so we're very lucky to start that we had some buildings, we haven't actually had to put any buildings on now in 20 years here. We've temporary porta cabin there for the office, and then the staff accommodation and canteen, but and in here was the hay shed, and now we use that for washing all the produce that comes in off the farm and from other growers, and then storing the veg for keeping it fresh.
Harry.
Hi. How are you doing? Here's the farmer. Did you?
Oh, I can hear a little voice.
Let me see that. That looks really nice. What's it growing into, Moss?
I'm a cop.
Yeah, and look at the roots come around. Did you grow that? And they asked you to bring it home?
I grew it.
Come here,
So-
well done.
So your head gardener has arrived on
Yeah,
scene.
yeah.
It's about time, because
And
honestly, Pádraig, I was a bit worried about you there for a while. So can you tell me your name here?
Tomás.
Tomás. And Tomás, you gave your dad there a cup. Can you tell me what's in the cup?
A sunflower.
A sunflower. And did you grow that yourself?
Yeah.
My God, that is one of the healthiest sunflowers that I have seen. Look at that. Look at how green it is. So polytunnels. We head back down to the polytunnels. Do you want to show me some of some things that are in them?
Yeah, some cucumbers.
Did you see the pack house?
So what is this? It looks like
An octopus.
an
with
octopus. Yeah,
200 legs.
that's essentially it. Yeah.
But we're like the legs are like beer tubing.
Yeah.
So basically, those seed trays have 200 plugs in them, and it's the one we use the most.
So
we had-
216 tray.
So we needed to sow 50 trays of kale, of Uncle John's heritage kale, which is the heritage kale we grow from the Irish Seed Savers. So we're very proud of that kale that we grow. So we needed to sow them this week, and time is limited, staff are limited, but this thing it was done in a few hours. 50 trays.
That's amazing. So it is like a squid and like small octopus legs even. And so you sit that on top of this big seed tray, and
You
it
just fill
puts-
them with the seeds,
Fill that,
kind of rub
push
them
it
around.
along, and
Yeah.
each seed will drop down a hole down into your seed module.
And where did you have to get that piece of equipment
I
from?
got that from Fruital Farm, that's cedar, and then we got grant aid through the horticulture fund, which comes out each year, so that'll be from the horticulture section of the Department of Agriculture.
And is that quite an important element of kind of being on the ball in terms of business, checking to see what grants are there? Because I know there were some complaints from the horticulture community as well that there weren't enough supports there.
Yeah, I suppose we're also in the Board B Quality Assurance Scheme, so that gives us access to the horticulture fund, and then there's also a fund in the organic unit down in Wexford, so we can access both. But I found that
Scale. There would have been in earlier times before we were certified on this, before we came to this level. Yeah, it would have been harder to access. But there was it was always the organic grant aid from the organic unit.
But
We
you're
always
right,
got that.
There was some obstacles in the past. I do think they've been overcome. They'd only work off a certain list, and if the piece of machinery or equipment wasn't there, you didn't qualify. So, similar to us when we started out, when we came back here started 20 years ago, we didn't qualify for an installation aid because to look at the farm, wasn't viable because we didn't have the acres. The acres is churning out the income units. This was the Teagasc template at the time, so it wasn't seen as viable. We've proved them wrong. You know what I mean? So it's not about your area; it's about what you do with it. And that's what a lot of organic farms. It's not about the size; it's what they're doing with what they've got, and then adding the value off the farm, selling direct to the consumers, networking with other growers, and getting the best return. And being a price maker rather than a price taker.
Because I think people are surprised as well by the scale of income or turnover you can generate from quite a small area of vegetables. Because I remember visiting a farmer with 16 acres and he was making 3 times what the average suckler farmer in the same county was making. And look, that's not everyone, and obviously you have to be good at it. But you're farming 50 acres and you're supporting 20 people in terms of jobs and yourselves as well. So I wonder, what do you think does need to be there in terms of encouraging people to grow more vegetables, especially in Ireland, because we seem to have a deficit of Irish horticultural growers? Is it education? Is it government support? What do you think could be identified there?
A huge one is the route to market, because you can be absolutely amazing and you can grow something completely unique on a tiny, tiny acreage. Might be hard to sell it though, because the only shop in your town is a big supermarket and doesn't buy locally. And you might try and set up a farmer's market, but no one comes because you just can't get the news to the people who want to hear it, or you can't get your quality, your hygiene inspection kind of stuff right, or whatever it is. Yeah, so trying to sell stuff is it's not easy.
Is that why you created your own route to market as well with your own farmer shop?
Yeah, I remember being at farmers markets years ago in the beginning, and Pádraig just had a natural sales, a gift with the sales as well. And whereas I would attach shame to something I'd grow, so I'd be standing at the market, I'd have these cucumbers that were a bit bendy, and they taste amazing. And Pádraig could say €2 for the cucumbers. But I was like, oh no, I'll only charge you 50 cents for that because it's a bit bendy. I didn't actually value
what you were producing.
What I was doing. I felt it wasn't right or whatever. But it was a number of things got to do with me and my self-confidence, but it was also just marketing and sales skills that I didn't have because I never knew them growing up.
And even then, you could be brilliant at growing vegetables, but if you don't have that marketing and skills, or if you don't acquire them somewhere along the way, so you do have to be very multi-talented for the industry.
There are a lot more people coming into horticulture. I suppose since COVID, a lot of people now might be working from at home. They may have off-farm incomes, then they want to connect a bit more with nature, and then they really see that farming organically is the way to go. I'd say start with an acre, start with 2 or 3 crops, do some of the courses through the National Organic Skill Nets, go along to the IOA or the Teagasc Farm Walks, pick up the phone and ring someone in your area, but start small. So there's 3-4 areas where I see how you can drive horticulture in Ireland. One option is where conventional growers move across. They might move 10%, 20%. So they've already got the skills, they've got the knowledge, the machinery and the land base, and they can move across into scale. Other is where you're bringing total new entrants in, so someone who hasn't any background in agriculture. There's a lot come into organics that way, and organic horticulture need to start small and know your market and find out who's going to buy it. And also in the summer, we can grow a lot of summer crops and do a lot, but sometimes the summer can be the quietest month. So for us, June, July, in terms of our sales, are the quietest. So even though it's the easiest time of year to grow, so grow is just a small bit and find that market. And then so I've talked about conventional moving across and new entrants into horticulture, and maybe those then as opportunity to scale up. So I don't see enough of people where we would have been 10 years ago and what we've scaled up. I don't see many taking that leap. Probably looking back now, ourselves, I can understand, there's a lot of costs involved, and it's if you think of the producer, we carry the risk for 98% of the shelf life. We start the program, the seed in the ground, you get it to the market, but it's in a shop for 3 days, and then the consumer takes it. So the risk, and then also in Ireland, the market it's 90% of food is sold through 5 supermarkets. So we're in it's a very competitive marketplace. Albeit in organics, there's a lot more people selling off farm shops, box schemes, and to restaurants. So there's a point of difference there. But I'd say just start small, go along to the walks, do some training, and if you are also starting back in the farm, and it makes actually good sense for rotation. So you have a tillage part of your farm. If you're carrying animals, do some potatoes, do some brassicas, some turnips. So, but yeah, there's a good bit of work there. I think the Organic Forum have a good bit of work on to to pull things together in Ireland, and then also we then need to get Borbia to improve the messaging also, and I do think we need an agency in Ireland separate to Borbia to drive the promotion. We can't be dependent on a body who's got its hands in all the other aspects of agriculture. We need a dedicated BO agency, organic agency, co-funded from government, but also by producers, to go and market organics in
Have to see
Ireland.
what happens. Yeah, but thank you very much. So for everyone listening, be sure to check out Beechlawn Organic Farm. You do have a website, and if you're in the Galway area, look them up and see, can you pop into their farm shop as well. It's Saturdays that you're open as well.
10 till 2.
From 10 till 2, yeah. I think it'd be
www.beechlawn.organicfarm.ie.
So yeah, so no excuses now. And for anyone listening, you've been tuning in to the Organic Matters podcast, brought to you by the Irish Organic Association. And for any more information on organics, you can check out www.irishorganicassociation.ie. But from all of us here at Beechlawn, thank you very much for listening, and take care.